Hey friends, welcome back to more Reddit stories. Hope you're all doing awesome. Today we're jumping into r/PettyRevenge, so let's begin. When an Uber driver refuses to return your stuff. First of all, I understand leaving something behind in an Uber is a pain for the driver. Uber has recently added a $15 fee for a driver returning an item, which I completely support, and in the past I've given a driver a $20 tip for returning my item. Now to my story. Late Friday night, I left both my phone and wallet in an Uber on my way home from a party. I thought they might have been left at the party, so I waited until Saturday morning to check before reaching out to the Uber driver. My phone is off, so no luck with Find My iPhone, which is strange because I went out with a full charge. My friend is unable to find it at his place, so I reach out to the driver. I try him a few times throughout the day, and I either get his voicemail or he answers and immediately hangs up. I understand they work weird hours, so no alarms yet. Finally, I get through and he confirms he has the phone, but says he can't meet today. When I ask him when he can meet, he starts to pretend he can't hear me and just says, "Hello? Hello?" before hanging up. I try him the rest of the Saturday and Sunday, getting the same voicemail and hang-up runaround. I reach out to Uber, who reaches out to him directly asking about my items. Monday morning, Uber tells me he doesn't have them. And despite me telling them that he confirmed that he did on Saturday, they were about as helpful as you'd expect. I get a hold of the driver Monday afternoon after repeated attempts, which is only the second time I've ever spoken to him at this point. His story is now that he doesn't have the item, and when I say I'm going to get the cops involved, he hesitates for a second, but then doubles down and says he can prove he doesn't have them. I file the police report, and then as a last-ditch effort, decide to take the number I got from his answering machine. Uber connects you via phone rather than giving you their number, and text them, offering $200 for my items returned, no questions asked. Well guys, as luck would have it, he found my phone and wallet. My offer must have made them magically appear out of thin air. I grab $200 from the bank and we arrange a meeting time, which he repeatedly moves. I'm having to do this all without a phone, so shout out to my lovely wife for coordinating this all. He's apparently very excited during this call, and is asking how his reward will be paid. I wait in the rain for an hour for this guy, in a sea of downtown Chicago Ubers. Finally I spot his car, confirm it's him, and jump into the front seat. I pull out the money and ask to see my stuff, which he pulls out of his center console and places near me. I start counting out the money on my lap, and once I reach $200, I pick it up, take my wallet and phone and say, "Here you go," without actually handing it to him. I book it out the car and don't look back. I go the opposite way he's facing so that he can't follow me, and make my way to a pedestrian-only courtyard. Surprise, surprise, my phone is turned off with plenty of battery left, which means he turned it off so I couldn't find it. I feel for the Uber drivers who have to deal with customers leaving stuff behind, but I would have happily worked with him to make it as convenient as possible to return my things. Refusing to coordinate and then lying about having things that you find is theft, and it felt great to pull a fast one on this a-hole. Yeah, I personally think OP could not have handled that better. Obviously Uber wasn't that much help, and if he did try to get the police involved, it's a bit of a shot in the dark on how useful that would actually be. So sometimes you just gotta fight fire with fire. If he's gonna be dishonest and try to lie to you, then might as well lie to him too and pull a fast one on him. Kick my trash cans, will you? Enjoy the broken toe. So I live in a low-income housing area of the town I attend college in. I was initially drawn to the apartment I'm currently living in because it was extremely cheap, and on the second floor. This is a house converted into 2 living units. I immediately signed the lease and everything was dandy for the first few weeks. However, I have taken notice of the neighborhood riffraff and was wary to keep my distance. I wasn't exactly scared of a bunch of young teens, but after observing their absolutely appalling nature, I tried to give them no excuse to screw with me through vandalizing my car or apartment. Well, not so long ago I was sitting on my second-story porch, enjoying a cigarette after a long tedious shift, when the teens decided to mess with me. At first, I didn't realize they were speaking to me, until one of them called out, "Hey, you Indian, insert slur." Now, even though I'm not Indian, people often assume I am because of my skin tone, so I'm aware they're attempting to heckle me. I look up and merely raise my eyebrows in acknowledgement. when one of them kicks over my full garbage cans and tells me to get on my knees and pick up my trash. You insert random racist slurs here. They laugh and leave. Knowing that I'll be fined by the city if I don't clean up the mess, I begrudgingly clean up the mess. It was while I was kneeling among the strewn garbage that my revenge came to fruition. A few nights later, I was sitting on my porch again, waiting for my targets to arrive. Sure enough, the pack of them comes strutting down the road, talking crap and messing things up. When they get to my house, I shout at them to keep it down, and that they're being obnoxious. Just as I had planned, they took my bait, and the one who had kicked over my trash cans a few days earlier told me that I was a insert slur, and aimed a full-forced kick at my trash cans. Little did he know that I had filled them to the bursting point with packed-down rocks and dirt, making them extremely heavy and almost unmovable. I savored the moments leading up to contact, and burst out laughing when the garbage can failed to move, and the kid howled out in pain when his foot connected. Judging from the time he spent on the ground clutching his foot, and the fact that he limped away on the verge of tears, I'm assuming he broke a toe or two. I slept like an effing king that night. I rock-bottomed an entitled dad at work after he slapped my manager. I work at a music store. My store sells instruments, obviously, rents out instruments, repairs instruments, and provides private lessons. I get some crazy customers every now and then, but this is one where I got physical. This mom, dad, and their child, who looks to be about 10-ish years old, walk in and I could immediately tell the kid is attention deficit. Super hyper, asking questions to his parents randomly, running to the pianos and pounding on the keys, and just wouldn't stop his hyperactivity. Anyway, they come and want to rent out a trumpet, because the kid wants to be in band and orchestra. The dad just had a frown on his face the whole time, while the mom was being very civil, and at the same time trying to calm the kid down, while the dad just had the "I really don't want to be here at all" look on his face. I tell the parents that renting a trumpet is $26 a month before tax. $20 goes into equity that can be used to purchase an instrument in the future, and the other $6 is for a liability damage waiver, in case it gets damaged, lost, stolen, etc. That extra $6 a month would get him something else if the worst happened. The mom agrees to everything, but the dad scoffed and rolled his eyes, and asked if the liability damage waiver is optional. I tell him yes, but it's very highly recommended because if something happens to the trumpet, they will be liable for the cost if they don't get the LDW. He assures to me that nothing will happen, and that he doesn't need to pay extra for bullcrap. I didn't tell the parents this, but based on what I'm seeing out of the kid's behavior, I had that feeling in my bones that something was going to happen to the trumpet due to the kid's hyperactivity. It takes roughly 5 minutes to do the paperwork for a rental. About halfway through, the dad says to the mom, "This is taking for f***ing ever. I'm going to walk to Home Depot and get my tools. There's a Home Depot right across from the parking lot." The mom says that the gentleman, me, is almost done, and tells him to be patient. He just tells her to grab the kid and meet him there when it's done. He then left. The mom apologized for his behavior and finished the rental with that guilty look on her face. After the mom and hyperkid left, I joked with my coworker and told him, just wait and watch them come back in the near future with a damaged trumpet, without the LDW. He agreed but laughed it off, just like I did. And I thought that was the end of everything. My joke turned out to be a foreshadow. 3 days later, I'm working with my manager, and the dad comes in by himself with the trumpet out of its case. His pupils were also dilated, so I had to guess he was high on something that was not weed. The trumpet's lead pipe was bent at a damn near 45-degree angle, and there was a nasty dent in the bell. When I asked him what happened, the guy straight up said, "You a-holes rented us out a bad trumpet that cannot withstand damage. I work in construction and I know that metal doesn't bend after it's dropped." That was bullcrap because from personal experience, brass instruments do bend and dent if they're dropped. And especially since this is a low-brand instrument, which we do normally rent out to beginner players, it is way more sensitive. He was demanding that he gets another trumpet with better quality. My manager asked him if he signed up for the LDW. The dad said, "No, I didn't want to pay for anything but a rental fee." My manager then told him that we couldn't get him another trumpet without the LDW, so he is liable for the cost of repair. The dad wasn't having any of it, but my manager did tell him that's our company policy. On to the climax. He then grabbed my manager by her wrist and started making claims about how the customer is supposed to be treated right. I went into a rage because, you don't put your hands on a woman like that. I told him to get the F out right now. That's when he reached his hand back and smacked her in the face like a pimp. Fearing for my manager's safety, I quickly grabbed him by the bottom of his chin and slammed him onto the floor. I screamed in his face while holding him down firm. You chose not to get the LDW. The trumpet is clearly damaged, and you are liable for it for not wanting to pay an extra $6. Now get out, now, and take your broken trumpet with you. I was afraid that he would start fighting me back, but he thankfully did not. I released him, and he walked out all huffed up and didn't take the trumpet with him, all while flipping us off on the way out. After his high enraged ass left, I looked at my manager, whose face was already beginning to bruise, and asked if she was okay. She was, and she thanked me for standing up for her. But she also told me that this was something that had to get corporate's attention. Long story short, after the rock bottom and corporate being notified, I didn't get fired for assaulting a customer because 1, the dad started everything, and 2, who the F knows what could have happened if I didn't stop the a-hole from doing more harm. The next day, which was my day off, my manager called me and said the mom called the store and apologized for what happened. From what I was told, she was already in the process of filing for divorce due to his drug addiction and abuse. She also came to the store later and paid for a dirt cheap trumpet to purchase. Since the rental was on the dad's credit card, and he chose to leave the broken one behind, his next month payment would be the cost of the repair. This was back in October of 2021, so today I'm hoping that the mom and kid are away from that a-hole, and I hope the kid learned how to take better care of the instrument. Want to call the cops on us over nothing? Have fun when they investigate you instead. This is more my dad's story than mine, but I was there for it. This happened a while ago. My dad used to have this awful neighbor, total Karen. She'd call the police on us for totally stupid things, like when we drilled a hole in the wall to hang a painting. She said the 30 seconds of drilling was a noise disturbance, and that the drill went into her house. I should mention that we lived in neighboring brownstones, which are like small 2 to 4 story houses that are all connected to each other wall to wall. Every time the police would come, they'd basically give us the "we know it's not your fault, we just have to respond if someone calls" spiel, apologize, and leave. We had an air conditioner in the front of the house, and my dad would set out a bucket to catch the dripping water, which he would then use to water the plants in the front garden. Garden is an overstatement. It was more like a 1 foot by 2 foot patch of dirt in concrete with a couple of flowers. One day the police turned up and asked about that bucket of water. Turns out Karen had called the cops because she said that us collecting water in that tiny bucket was hazardous because it was a breeding ground for mosquitoes. There's some New York law that prohibits you from having still, unclean water outdoors for this reason. But my dad emptied out this bucket every single day. After the police heard that, they apologized and started getting ready to go. But my dad had the idea to show them her backyard, because in her backyard sat an above-ground pool that was empty and not covered, and that she didn't clean. So yes, while she called the police on us for this bucket that we emptied out every day, and were just using in an effort to conserve a bit of water, she had this giant bucket collecting water out in her backyard that she never cleaned out. Total mosquito breeding ground. The police agreed that it was a potential hazard, and while we never heard what officially went down, she got a pool cover soon after. And to my recollection, she never called the police on us again. That is it for today, my friends. Thank you for watching. I appreciate it. If you enjoyed, make sure to drop a like and also subscribe to the channel for more. So take care, and I'll see you next time.